Hello everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join today's question and answers webinar. The Alaska region would like to take a moment to wish all of you Hello everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today for the ANA Questions and Answers webinar. The Alaska Region TTA Center would like to take a moment and wish all of you a happy holiday season. The production of these webinars over the last year has been a success due to the involvement of all of our viewers, and we appreciate your time. We are creating a new webinar schedule for the 2014, and we are constantly working to provide a better quality of webinar for your viewing. We look forward to your participation in the future webinars that we are developing for you. Let's get started with our webinar for today. A few general housekeeping rules on how to use the equipment today. We will be going through, and if you haven't yet, please click and set up your audio setup wizard so that it optimizes your speakers for listening. If you have a headset and you would like to use that headset for the speaker function, it also has that built in so that you could use your speaker or your microphone, excuse me, to do your questions rather than typing them in. We have the whiteboard tools for writing and typing your responses. And typically we use the chat function to enter in your questions and allowing the responders to answer. The Alaska Region TTA Center has staff members here in Wasilla. We have our Regional Director, Anthony Caoli, our Technical Assistance Manager, Angela Camos, and myself, Charles Peel. Additionally, we do have consultants who have a variety of backgrounds that allows us to give expertise in a wide range of different subjects. The purpose, well, the Alaska region provides free training in your project planning and development, your pre-application, and your post-award. We also do provide free technical assistance on project planning and development, pre-application, on-site, unfunded, and grantee. All of these are available to you if you contact the Alaska region at that address. We will be able to work with you in getting things set up. About ANA, ANA is designed to promote the self-sufficiency of Native Americans. It was created, and their vision is really to see Native communities thriving. That has been the overall goal of everything that ANA has been working towards. We don't have any webinars to report on the exact dates, but please check back to the regional websites to stay up to date with the most current schedule. We will be finalizing the schedule within the next week, and we will be posting the dates as soon as we have them. The goals for today's webinar is to be as available to you guys as we can for answering any questions, whether it's how do we get started to technical questions on implementing your projects. We do have 2 program specialists as well as the TTA staff here in Alaska on the webinar to answer any questions that you might have. Today's guests from ANA are Will Post, who's a new program specialist, and Jill Kane. I will allow them to give a brief introduction of themselves.
Hi, this is Will Post. Thank you for the introduction. I recently joined ANA the first week of November, and I've gotten to meet almost all my grantees. I recognize a few familiar faces up here. And yeah, so I'm very excited to be joining the team and working closely with all of you.
Hi, I'm Jill Kane. Thank you also for the introduction, and I've been here since 2008. I previously worked at the ANA Help Desk and been a program specialist for about 2 years.
Hello, this is Denise Litz. I was actually able to join on the webinar. I'm a program specialist. I'm originally from the Tuscarora Nation in Niagara Falls, New York. And I've been a program specialist. It'll be a year in January. Good to be here. Thank you.
And hi, this is Richard Glass, and I work closely with our Training Technical Assistance Centers, and glad to be here as well. And I do want to let everyone know, right after this webinar started, unfortunately, we are encountering a bit of a technical glitch. So we're going to have to log out and log back in. We should be able to be back in about 3-4 minutes. I really apologize for the technical aspects, but the Alaska team will still be there and be able to answer the questions. But we'll be able to get back in about 3 to 4 minutes once we re-log in. But it's either do that now or we're going to be kicked off in about 5 minutes. So apologize for that, but I'm going to turn it back over to Charles to start the question and answers for some specific TTA stuff, and then we'll be back in a few minutes. And again, apologize for this. We sign on early, and these things sometimes happen, as I'm sure everyone's used to. Charles?
Thank you, Rich. And with that, we will open up the floor for any new grantee questions. If you are a new award recipient, we do have a couple of questions there to kind of prompt the discussion, but we're interested in hearing any types of questions, concerns, clarifications that you need. We are here at your disposal. So we will go and allow you guys to ask.
You can raise your hand to ask a question or type it in the chat box, and I do see some folks typing.
Our first question is, what kinds of specific projects does ANA fund for Native communities? Since the project manager, our project specialists are not in, Angela, would you like to field this question?
Sure, thank you. So ANA funds a large variety of projects. There are 3 separate funding areas. There is the social and economic development, the language preservation and maintenance, and environmental regulatory enhancement. Under each of those is really, these are community-driven projects. So as long as your project falls within this basic area of, organizational capacity, tribal governance, preserving your language, creating an immersion program, sorry, I couldn't think of the word for a moment, or looking to manage the land that you happen to be in charge of, maybe you're going to develop a recycling program or something like that. So this, again, these are community-driven projects. And Anthony has just posted a summary of the CDFA descriptions. And so you can click on that link and get a lot more detailed information from there. I hope that was helpful.
Our next question is, when do you anticipate the fiscal year 14 announcements to be released?
Hi, Gary. We know that ANA is working on their funding announcements. We're actually looking forward to seeing the NOPAC, the Notice of Public Comment, come out hopefully within the next couple of weeks. That'll take another couple of weeks for processing. I believe there's a 30-day comment period. Go back into ANA, allow them to process internally. So we're hoping somewhere maybe January, February, and maybe we can re-ask that when ANA specifically rejoins us. But that's my best guesstimate at the moment.
When the ANA project specialists sign back in, Gary, we will field that question back to them and have them give you a give you their response on your question. I believe your question is about right, but I want them to be able to answer that. We'll move on to the next question. How many programs do you fund in a year? Angela?
Hi, James. That is there's an average within each, and actually it depends on the request size as well as how many are selected for funding and fall into the funding category range. I believe for SEDS it was, last year I think it was 15, but I don't have that information directly in front of me. For ERE, I think it was 5 or 7. And then there's a couple of categories in preservation and maintenance. I believe preservation and maintenance had, I want to say 10. And I think overall Esther Martinez had 8. In Alaska, there were 6 new grantees. And Anthony has posted the grantee award history link in the chat box.
The amount of programs funded per year varies upon the projects themselves. ANA has a specific budget amount that they could spend out on projects. Some projects are on the higher end of the funding announcement, some are on the lower end, and it all depends on how the projects score in the review process. If you have a bunch of high-scoring, high-cost projects that eat up the money first, then the amount of awards awarded might be lower, whereas if you have a larger amount of high-scoring, low-funding projects, that might increase the number of awards given. So it varies from year to year based upon how projects are being scored and the amount that they're requesting.
James, ANA funding is for all Alaska Native, American Indian, and Pacific Islander. It is not specific to Alaska. And I see that ANA has joined us, so maybe we can go back and just get their answers on a couple of the questions about the FY4 funding, etc.
Real quick, the link that Anthony provided that you guys might have clicked on to view, that is Alaska projects only. It is something that we as an Alaska Region TTA Center track. It's not the national, the ANA funds nationally. We as the region for Alaska, we track Alaska projects. So with ANA,
I just posted the link to on the ANA national site with all of the national grantees as well, current ANA grantees nationally.
Okay, thank you. And with ANA being back in the room, ANA, we had a couple of questions that we would like to have you guys field. We kind of gave a brief answer to, but we're hoping that you guys could elaborate a little more on. The question was, when do you anticipate fiscal year 14 announcements to be released?
Hi, this is Denise Litz. We have already drafted the FOAs. They're kind of in that back and forth of drafts between ANA and other agencies that are in the process of reviewing those. You know, our original plan was that we were hoping they could be posted at the end of December, beginning of January, with a due date towards the end of March, beginning of April. We're waiting on the notice of public comment going into the Federal Register, and everything, all the dates will be related to when that goes through. So the best thing to do is, as far as the amount of funding, there's the forecast that's already out, and the funding amounts that we have available for next year, we've forecasted that. So that is available, but as far as the specific funding announcements, we will keep you posted. So if you'd like to sign up on, is it the ANA website?
ANA listserv.
Yeah, the listserv. That's the easiest way to get notified when those publish. So we'll keep you posted.
And real quick, Babs, could I have you restate your question so that ANA might have an opportunity to answer it? She was clarifying on the question that James had asked if it was only for Alaska tribes. The answer was no. Does this include state-recognized tribes as opposed to federally recognized tribes for eligibility?
Hi, this is Richard at ANA. So it's for state-recognized tribes as well as federally recognized tribes, Native nonprofits. There is quite a bit a list of the eligibility, in which you can find on our website and in the FOAs. If I just put the forecast link up there a little bit in the chat box. If you clicked on that, you can also access our older funding opportunity announcements as well. But yes, state-recognized tribes are eligible for the funding as well.
Okay, thank you, Rich. And Gary has asked, is it necessary to re-register at ANA for updates, even though he's done this in the past?
It shouldn't be. It depends on where you're registering for the updates. If you're registering within grants.gov, which is another option when we post our funding opportunity announcements, you probably will have to re-register for that, for the specific FOA for that year, possibly. If you're talking about the ANA listserv directly on our homepage, where to get the ANA updates, we send out a listserv every Thursday. If you're getting those right now, you shouldn't have to sign up again. If you're not getting those, and we do send something out about every week, then I would recommend signing up again.
Okay, thank you, Rich. And Anthony continues to provide you guys with the links. I hope that you guys take some time to click on these links and register yourself for these listservs. They're very important information is being provided about different opportunities. Is there any other questions? Anything you guys need clarification on? I'm not seeing any action in the bar. Is there any words of wisdom from the program specialists that they can provide that they think might be of important information for the grantees here in Alaska or the grant applicants?
Hi, this is Denise Litz. I think what we would recommend is that anytime you have questions, to visit the ANA website. There's a wealth of resources and information there, and that's usually a good starting point. So we would just remind grantees to do that.
Oh, we had the hand raised. Angela?
So as we are looking at coming into the another session, another round of applications, I really want to encourage everyone to get into their grants.gov as well as their SAM accounts. Be sure that all of your information is current, your passwords have not expired. We do see this as a large deterrent after so much work has been done, that if your information is not current and up to date, folks have been unable to actually submit their applications. And there has been some miscommunication between SAM and grants.gov, so this is a good opportunity to get in and make sure that everything is communicating the way it should be.
Okay, well, thank you, Angela. We will move on. We did the question and answers already, so we will move on to the evaluations. Oh, we have a hand raised.
Hi, Charles. Thanks. Again, this is Richard at ANA, and sorry about we had to leave a little earlier, technical issue, but glad we're back. And I guess I have a couple questions for everyone here. I'm just kind of wondering who all is current grantees. If maybe they could raise their hand if they're a current ANA grantee fund, ANA grant. We got 1, 2. Okay, and then thank you, Gary and Jackie. And then for the rest, are you applicants? Have you applied to ANA before, or are you here to learn more about ANA? Maybe raise your hand if you've applied to ANA before. Okay, Bobby, so you're a new applicant and looking to learn more? And I see, and Luis, are you saying no, you have not applied before? Okay. See some people chatting. Okay, the tribes came on board beforehand. Okay, great. Well, this is really interesting for us to know, as I think maybe Charles and Angela maybe mentioned earlier, is we do have a lot of resources on training technical assistance. We also have started these webinars to try to share some of the information we have and better connect with people, because it is difficult, we know, to travel to a centralized location. And then, okay, Jackie, they already have a SEDS and language, and her question is, can she apply for an Esther Martinez grant? But specifically for that question about the language grant, so one of our administrative policies is you cannot have more than one grant within the same program area. So, Jackie, if you already have a language grant and it's continuing on for next year, continuing after September 30th of this year, you wouldn't be eligible for an Esther Martinez grant. We have very limited funds, so we do try to disperse the funds across as many different communities as we can. So we do have the policy that only one grant per program area. So the answer is no, you cannot have a language grant and an Esther Martinez grant at the same time. If you're in a situation where your language grant ends and you're looking for the next stage of funding, you can you could get an Esther Martinez grant at that situation or at that point. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so this is your first webinar. Well, welcome, Luis. We're really glad to have you here. Yeah, so you can apply when you're in year 3. When you're in your last year of your project, then you can apply for the next year. And Anthony asked a question. I'm going to turn it over to him to kind of maybe expand on that question and see what people are thinking about some of the options. Anthony?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm just curious if we have anybody participating that has never received ANA funding or substantial federal funding. Maybe raise your hand if you fall in that category. And the reason why I'm asking that question is because we do offer project planning and development technical assistance if you have never received ANA funds or have not received substantial federal funding. So if you fall in that category, then you might consider going to our website and signing up for our project planning and development assistance.
I would want to encourage you to attend the project planning and development training prior to requesting that assistance. This will actually give you a really good solid foundation and allow you to build some framework so that you have an idea of what it is that you're looking to do, and then we can help you through a series of questions and answers provided by you more fully develop your project to take back into your community, work through that, come up with a very solid project, attend our pre-application training to take your project and fit it into an ANA application, which would hopefully be very high scoring. And after you have attended that training and you've put a little more work into that, you got your application about 75% complete, you can then also request the pre-application electronic technical assistance prior to submitting your application. Now, none of this is required. However, we have noticed a trend that when you sort of follow this great ANA pathway, your application tends to be higher scoring and your chances do tend to be a little greater. ANA, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sure, Angela. And thanks for explaining that. One of the things that we really believe in and what we really promote is community development. We really believe that the identification of what the issues are in your community and the solutions on how to address those issues, they're all kind of at the community level. We found through our evaluations and talking with grantees that the most successful projects are those that are developed and implemented by community members who understand the community. We see a lot of projects that don't work when they hire a consultant from outside the community. They come in and say, here's what you should do, here's your solution, and then they leave. There's no community buy-in, and that solution might not really work for the community. What does work is for the community to work on a process of identifying their resources, identifying what the issues are, and coming up with solutions that will fit with the cultural and capacity of your community. And so our project planning and development trainings help work through that process. Our pre-application trainings, which will start soon, probably at the end of January, early February. That's really, once the funding opportunity announcement is out, that helps you take your project idea and write it in response to the FOA, the funding opportunity announcement. And so that's kind of the process that we encourage and what we believe. So I'm glad everyone's here on the webinar, and yeah, keep updated with ANA and checking our website for when that funding opportunity announcement comes out. But I will say that you don't have to wait to develop your project idea till the funding opportunity announcement is out. So you can start doing that now based on your community needs and what you're looking to do and accomplish in your community.
And since the project planning and development will not be happening until around March, we haven't set the exact date and schedule. If you're looking for some assistance and some resources, the Project Planning and Development Manual is found on the ANA website. You can go to their Resources tab and type in Project Planning and Development Manual. You can download that to your computer and go through some of the exercises as a way to help you draft your project.
Is there any other questions? I see that there's a couple of people typing in the chat box, and I just wanted to give them an opportunity to get their question answered.
And as people are answering the questions, Richard, again, I'd like to let everyone know to keep updated on our future webinars. So we're going to start our webinars on January 16th for the 2014 year. So on January 16th, Thursday at 3. And those webinars are structured different from this one. So for those that are brand new, it's much more presentation focused on a specific subject. We kind of wanted to see at this point just kind of questions people have and kind of give a high-level overview of what we're doing. But future webinars that you can expect are a bit more structured with a definite presentation. You can see some examples of those webinars that we've accomplished on our webpage, on the resource library, and some of those recordings as well, if you're looking for some specific subjects as well. I think Babs has a question, will the project training be online? Not exactly. We do have webinars that covers a lot of that material, which you'll be able to kind of see once that schedule is posted in a couple weeks, around January 1st probably. But the manual you can download, and there's some tips how to use it in your community. You can download that. It's a PDF from our website. as well as some links and a lot of information on the website. But we don't have a other than the webinars, it's not a distance learning kind of online training at this point.
Babs, the trainings are face-to-face. We are working on putting that schedule together, and we are trying to work with a coordinated effort so that we can do 3 locations simultaneously. We're still working on trying to pull that together with the help of the university. So I really encourage you to keep tabs on our website and the newsletter, the Alaska newsletter, if you're not already signed up for that, because we will be announcing those. And they're really a lot of fun, so I encourage you to come. They are very hands-on and interactive.
There is a question about, will there be funding to attend the trainings? Rich, would you like to answer this one?
We don't offer, the trainings are free. There's no cost to attend, but the cost for attending the training, traveling, hotel, any kind of personal expenses that you incur to attend the trainings, that we don't offer any scholarships or funding to that. That is your responsibility, your organization's responsibility. But the trainings themselves, there's no registration fee or anything like that. The travel costs are the responsibility of the participant.
Did we say that the training is at UAA? Angela?
No, Louise. Actually, I am trying to coordinate with the University of Alaska statewide to house this in 3 locations. At trainings in Anchorage, are usually done at the Diamond Center Hotel or another conveniently located meeting space. Babs, I see you're asking about a locale in the lower 48 states. And depending on your location, you would want to check back with the regional TTA center. So if you are in the states from Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, and west, you would look to the western region. And if you are north in the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and east, you would look to the eastern region and go to their websites to find out the times and places of their trainings. So for Louisiana, you would look to the ANA Eastern region for that, and we'll get a website here for you and post it in the chat box in a moment. Oh, there, Anthony. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to the Eastern region.
Here is the websites for each of the other regional technical assistance providers if you're from their region. Angela did cover a vast number of states, so if you're not able to discern which one you go to, I'd go to the national website and look at what state what region your state is in, and then go to that website. And here's a list of the websites for all the regions. Any other questions? Will we get an invite for another webinar? Yes. If you sign up for our newsletters, we announce all of our webinars in our newsletters, as well as we announce them on our regional website as well as the national website. But what it is you get the invite, you click to register, and we will be sending out those notices to the people who do sign up for our listserv, yes. Okay, well, I'd like to thank everybody for participating today. I hope that we were able to answer a lot of your questions in detail so that you feel a little more confident about going forward with your ANA projects. As a former ANA grants manager, I know the stresses that you could go through, and I really hope that we've worked to alleviate some of that stress for you guys. I would like to thank the participants who've come to ask the questions, as well as the ANA staff who's taken time to come and answer the questions. I wish I could say each of these thank yous in their languages, but this is a collaboration of all the thank yous of all the different dialects in Alaska, and we really do thank you guys a lot for participating in our webinars.
Thank you, everyone, from ANA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.